Hey, Savatgy, you want 50,000 of this, dog? Alright, sick. Let's do it, bro. What's up, my dudes? Tomac got the millie, and quite a, I don't know what you call it, fashion. Yeah, you guys saw the race. I don't even think I need to really explain that to you, but there's two different ways to look at it, okay? I'm just going to jump right into it. Let me just tell you, if I'd have been Savatgy, I'd have done the exact same thing. So let me just kind of explain it, because there's going to be some people that don't even know what happened and stuff like that. So get down to the last race. He got like kind of a somewhat of a bad start for his standards of that night. He was like running 6th or something. Got right to where he was passing everybody, and it got to the very last lap. He had to win that last 10-lapper to win the million, and it gets like the literal last lap. He's pretty close to Savatgy, but still a little bit back. And Savatgy just basically waves him on to go ahead and pass him, and he wins the million. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I mean, a part of me kind of thinks Tomac would have caught him anyways, another part of me is like, I don't really know. I mean, yeah, but, you know, some people are going to look at it like, oh, dude, he didn't really earn it. Oh, he didn't really get it. And, I mean, I can see that side of it as well, but I also see the side of it where it's like, think about how much they would have looked at Savatgy as just being a dick if he didn't, you know, pull off to the side. I mean, Savatgy's not losing anything here, okay? All he's doing is basically stealing $1 million from somebody. Not even stealing it, just kind of not allowing somebody to get $1 million. That would be the simple way to put it. Like, why would you do that? Why would you just take $1 million, not only from him, but old Jesse boy over there that was the little fan that could also win the million? He would be taking $2 million away from people. So there was kind of a lot that other people could gain, and, you know, nothing he would really gain out of winning that last race there. I know, you know, Jeff Emig was kind of talking about that when he was going through, like, oh, if I'm Savatgy, I'm really wanting to make a statement and win this last moto. Like, really, dog? Come on. That race didn't mean shit in comparison to somebody winning $1 million. You know, that wasn't even close to it. So I can't blame Savatgy at all, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And the fact that he just got put on that team, you know, the animosity that would have already built up next year for Monceu de Kawasaki had he not let Tomac go. That's crazy, man. But I just wanted to get on here and talk about that. Not only that, but just the whole night and kind of give my overall opinion on it. So, yeah, Villopoto race. This is the first, like, you know, racing with the AMA boys again in forever. And, I mean, you know, he's on a totally different bike. He's on a Yamaha. It's been 4 years since he's raced with these guys at this sort of pace. Oh, my God, stoppy. So you couldn't expect too much out of Poto, dude. I mean, you just couldn't. Like, come on, man. I mean, I think if he would have still been on Kawasaki and still kind of been on somewhat of the same bike, he would have done a lot better. I think he would have been a lot closer to, like, maybe a top 5 or something. But it's just too difficult with, like, a whole new bike like that. And so either way, I know some people are thinking, oh, Villopoto's going to come back in 2019. I don't really know if that's going to happen, but back to the actual, you know, main subject of this video, I find it to be kind of comical how Tomac, you know, this past Supercross season was talking about the whole, you know, teaming up and, like, having your teammate help you out and get a result. You know how Musquin kind of got out of the way for Dungey to help him get more points. And then here we got Savatgy getting out of the way to help Tomac win $1 million. And then it's funny how sometimes Tomac is like, you know, got mad at Musquin for running into him there on the, I think it was like the last lap of that one Supercross race. And like, you know, 2 or 3 weeks before that, he slammed into, I think it was Webb. I think that was at Daytona. Absolutely slammed into Webb on that. So come on now, Tomac. I mean, like, I like Tomac. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's fast. He's probably one of the fastest ones out there right now. He is the fastest U.S. rider right now. But it's just kind of comical how ironic some things are. You know what I'm saying? I just find it to be kind of funny to point that out. Like, Tomac's making it such a big deal. Like, oh, that's so stupid that, you know, Musquin would let Dungey pass him and get some more points. And then here we got, if we're not doing teaming, then you would have just lost $1 million, dog. Maybe, probably, I don't know. He might still could have caught Savatgy, but I don't know, man. I mean, Savatgy had a pretty good little lead. If he did catch him square up, like no letting the other person by, it would have been close. It would have been like last corner. He'd have had to do a dirty move because it's hard to pass on this track. So all in all, I don't think Tomac would have won that just straight up. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it, you know. I'm almost surprised that they don't go in there and say, like, oh, you kind of cheated to get it. But I'm trying to remind you guys. Some of you guys are going to be like, oh, what the fuck, Spencer, don't say that. What are you saying, dog? Like, dude, I'm trying to remind you, like, I would have done the same thing. If I'd have been Savatgy, I'd have done the exact same thing. If I'd have been Tomac, I would have expected Savatgy to do the exact same thing. I'm not questioning those dudes as far as, like, how that happened and all that stuff I said about, Tomac being a little hypocritical. I'm just doing that for the comedic fact. I like Tomac. I think, he's right to his own opinion and all that, but it's just kind of funny. It's kind of funny how he's one of the big dudes that's kind of complaining about, the team affair, the team, other riders helping other riders directly with their finishes like that, and then here this happens. I know it's different because it's Monster Cup, right? It's not like a points series. It's just $1 million, but I say it's just $1 million like it's nothing, but, it's a little bit different, but it's still the same thing. Your teammate is still basically just giving you a free position. So I don't know how to look at that. There's everybody has their own opinion on that, because with motocross, you're not on teams like on football. It's not like, I'm like we're on the same team and we're both scoring the same score. You're your own individual rider. You're just based out of the same sort of truck, the same bike brand, but it's not the kind of team you'd expect like on a football team and all that kind of whatnot crap. So it is quite a bit different, but they do that. I mean, this past Supercross season, if Musquin wouldn't have gotten out of the way for Dungey, it would have been a lot closer on if Tomac could have beat Dungey in the championship. So, shit, that was a year ago. Holy fuck, I'm behind. Wow, I kept saying that was this past Supercross. That was the year before. Good God, time flies by. I'm getting old as hell. I forgot this year was the year Anderson won Supercross. That was the year before. Good God, man. Yeah, I'm behind on myself here. But yeah, basically, you guys know that whole season. Man, time is flying for me right now in my life. A lot of you guys can probably relate, but man, it's kind of crazy how time will do that sometimes. It's like you just wake up and it's like 4 years have just went by instantaneously. Just boom, 4 years, just like that. It's kind of crazy how it does that. But either way, man, thought it was a cool night of racing. Just kind of funny and interesting how it all turned out, And what's funny about that is it's like Monster Energy is the one giving out the $1 million, but they're giving it to a guy that's sponsored by Monster Energy. So it's almost like they're giving $1 million back to themselves in a certain way. I know it's not literally like that, but it's just, that's kind of funny how that works out like that. I just want to know, what if, let's just say it was totally different scenario, like, I don't know, let's just say theoretically it was Musquin in the front and Dungey had the chance to win the $1 million, and Musquin pulled out of the way for Dungey. Do you think everybody would be as, open arms, accepting, oh yeah, he should have done that, or would they have been a little bit more critical of it? Because you know how, there's a lot of U.S. fans that are just all into Tomac, and for good reason. He's really, really fast. He's fun to watch. He's probably the funnest rider in Supercross right now. All those other dudes aren't even close. They're not even close as far as, like, speed level. He's very reminiscent of the days of, like, Villapoto, Stewart, those days. So I can see why a lot of people like him, but I think sometimes they blindly defend him in certain occasions. Like, that whole thing where Musquin ran into Tomac on the last lap of that one Supercross race, that was ridiculous, man. Like, as far as people complaining about it, that was just racing. That was racing as much as racing can be, man. Musquin did nothing wrong there, but yet it seemed like there was a lot of people after him just because he did it to Tomac. It's funny how just because it's this guy doing it to this other certain guy, people change their entire opinions about the situation, even though it can be the exact same situation. It's so silly how they do that. But I try to keep it a little bit more baseline. Like, no matter who does it, I just look at the situation as to what it is. I don't look at who's doing it. I look at the situation itself. So, but I'm kind of thinking in my head, like, it makes you think, and I understand. They're on teams in the sense of, like, a lot of times you'll see those things where somebody will get out of the way for someone else, but most of the time, that person that's getting out of the way has absolutely nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to gain by winning that race or whatever, and their teammate behind them has everything to lose. So it's like they're getting out of the way for usually a pretty massive reason. And so that's one way to look at it. Most of the time that's the way it is. They're getting out of the way for a extreme reason, like either it's the final couple races and they need the points, but then you look at it like it's kind of unfair to the other guy, but then you look at it on the other hand like that person also has a teammate, but then you look at it on the other hand like if there was a team that had 5 fast dudes on one team and it made like a Golden State Warrior motocross team, then they could just win every single championship and every single race because the top 4 dudes could just get out of the way if that champion contender wasn't up there, you know what I mean? Or it would be insane. Like if there was a case where you had more than like 2 or 3 people on a motocross team and they were all pretty fast, they would dominate the entire series. So you look at it like that'd be crazy if it ever got to that point, but there is definitely team tactics that happen in motocross without a doubt, whether it's this guy holding up that guy or this guy pulling over for that guy or whatever. But I know Monster Cup's different. It's not like a points system or anything, but so I can understand it way more on something like this than I can, just in the standard series. It's not like Savatgy pulling over is costing someone else their championship or something like that. Like, I get it, but it's just a really confusing. I don't even know where I stand on this. That's why I'm like running it through my head. I don't even know what's right or wrong. Like, if it's right or wrong, I don't know. I don't know if team tactics are right or if they're wrong. There's certain occasions where it's like, damn, I would have probably done the same thing. And then certain occasions where I'm like, fuck, that seems lame. That seems unfair. I don't know. I don't even know how to look at it. Definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. But I look at that final race that Tomac was in, right? And you guys know how Malcolm Stewart was holding him up quite a bit there for like 2 or 3 laps. I mean, it was super hard to pass on that. They make this track hard to win all 3 races, Short laps, no whoops, very little skill gap to the jumps, and really hard to pass people on it. So it's hard to separate yourself. So basically, Malcolm Stewart was kind of holding up Tomac there for a minute, and Tomac finally got around him, damn near crashed trying to do it. But if that wouldn't have happened right there, Tomac probably would have passed Savatgy straight up, So there's just a trillion different ways to look at stuff, and it's just wild. But either way, Tomac was hauling ass. I mean, there was no doubt about it. The first 2 races, he looked like those other dudes weren't even competing. He looked like they weren't even on the same, stratosphere. They weren't even in the same category. I mean, that's literally how fast Tomac was going them first couple races. But it'll be interesting to see how much work Roxon's done in the offseason. We'll see kind of how that works out. I was real surprised at Reed's performance in this Monster Cup. He was running second in that second race and apparently got dirt up in the back brake or something. That's where he saw where Muscan got his boot stuck in the back wheel. And then he got a real good start in that last race too and was running second on that for a while. So he's looking like he's got some speed. We'll see how it all turns out. A lot of times people do really well in Monster Cup and then it doesn't carry over to the actual SX season. So that happens quite frequently. I mean, I don't want to go through and name people off, but the people. So you can't always just base it off of like, oh, this guy did really well at Monster Cup, so he's going to do well in the Supercross season. It doesn't always work like that, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So either way, yeah, I don't know. Just wanted to come in here and talk about this because I've never seen something quite like this happen. You know what I mean? Because it's almost to the point where it surprises me that like. What I'm trying to say is it would be interesting if it wasn't Monster's own racing team that did something like that in the Monster Cup where Monster's paying the $1 million, you know, I just almost got the smallest, slightest little inclination, like if it would have been Red Bull KTM or Rockstar Husqvarna team or something that did something like that, would they be like, oh, you didn't really earn it, or, oh, I don't know. I don't know if they'd do something like that, you know? It's because they're giving away $1 million, man. You know what I mean? They're trying to make it as competitive as they can, and like you really, really have to earn this, but it doesn't always happen like that, though. I mean, you don't always get a teammate up there in the front, especially not a rookie teammate like that. It's kind of a crazy scenario that all that happened like that, but either way, it happened like that. Tomac's $1 million richer, and old Jesse boy's got his life changed forever. So it's cool, though, dude. I mean, I'm happy for them. Either way they can get it. You know, hand-waving gesture and everything, quite obvious. And I think the reason Savatgy did that is so that there was no question to the viewers, which I was really happy about that. You know, because if they don't wave their hand or do anything, then you can always question, like, oh, did this happen or did that happen? Did Tomac really earn it or did he not really earn it? You know, people will make all that. There's no question on this incident. Like, Savatgy made it very clear. So I was actually glad that Savatgy did that. It was a ballsy move to make it clear like that. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like now you're really saying that you really let him buy for no reason, but I don't know. It's just interesting how it all happened, you know? But I'm sure 99 or 90% of people look at this like, oh, it's no big deal, you know, whatever. Dude gave him $1 million, and that's the way I look at it too. I mean, I look at it like I can't blame Savatgy, can't blame Tomac. I would have done the same thing. So, but it's just interesting how the whole team tactic things works in motocross and supercross. It's just kind of funny how all that happens like that. So either way, just letting some of you guys know I've been playing some Black Ops 4 on PlayStation Network. My name is just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital, just like my Steam name. So if you go add me up on PlayStation, I will squad up with you sometime, probably tonight or something like that. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Black Ops 4, dog. Having some fun on that, and add you guys up and stuff. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.